Hi, Melina here, and wanted to really quickly kind of go through all of the books that I read in October, and also talk about like movies and shows and other forms of media that I consumed in the month of October. Since October is obviously Halloween month, I wanted to make sure that all of my reading was either spooky or kind of Halloween themed. So I kind of planned accordingly to that. I had a really overambitious TBR, and I only ended up getting to finish, 5 things, and then reading some more of a book that I didn't finish. So the first book that I read in October is The Worst Witch by Jill Murphy. I had been watching the Netflix show a lot and really liking it, and then after I picked up the book, I figured that October would be the perfect time to do that, and it was really cool. It has like really cute illustrations in it, and yeah, I found myself really enjoying it, but it was pretty simple. It's kind of like a kid's book. It's very much so like Harry Potter, but more for younger readers, I guess. It was good. I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then next, my sister had recently bought me the first trade of Chew, which is this comic series from Image, and it is basically about this homicide detective named Tony Chu, who, when he eats dead bodies, he can find out like how they were killed and stuff like that, so that like cases that people can't really find out stuff about, he can do that. And this was cute. The art style is literally like so ridiculously adorable. Like, I don't know if you can really tell. Tony's cute, the art is really good, the story's really good. I had never heard anyone mention when talking about this that it's actually kind of like minorly dystopian. And I like that about it. I think around the 3rd issue or the 4th issue, one of them was like a little bit slow, but for the most part it was all really good, and I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then the next one that I read, I've owned for many, many years. It is called How to Disappear Completely and Never Be Found by Sarah Nickerson. This, I was unexpectedly, like, surprised at. I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. The writing was good when I had read, like, a chapter or so years ago, but, I ended up really liking this. It is really weird of how to classify it. It's middle grade. It is like a middle grade mystery horror novel about this girl who is like around 12, and she basically takes care of herself and her little sister because her mom is kind of not a good mom. She like sleeps all day, she doesn't take care of them, she ignores them, she kind of isn't really present in taking care of them and in their lives. So the main character, Margaret, she kind of assumed the role of mother for herself and for her little sister. And then one day their mom takes them to this old spooky abandoned mansion just to put a for sale sign there, because apparently somehow they owned it and stuff. And it was really cool and weird, and it creeped me out, which I didn't expect like something like a children's book to do. And another cool thing is that amongst the like regular text and stuff, it has comics, and it's about it ties in the comics really well. I'm trying to describe it without giving it away, because it's a very surprisingly intricately woven plot, and I liked it. The characters were well developed and everything, and yes, I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then next, I needed to make sure, like I do every October, that I read one of my all-time favorite authors, which is R.L. Stine. Last year, I read a Fear Street book, The Babysitter, and this year I wanted to read a Goosebumps, because it has been years since I read a Goosebumps. This one, I haven't read since I was, like, in the 4th, 5th grade, like, 10 years ago or something. Oh, that's scary to think about. This one is Say Cheese and Die. It's, like, the 4th book in the Goosebumps series. I read this, and then I watched the episode of the TV show Goosebumps that goes with it, which had like a young, like, what, 12-year-old, 13-year-old Ryan Gosling. Wasn't expecting that. He plays Greg, the main character, in this. This was always my favorite Goosebumps novel growing up. It still is my favorite Goosebumps. I gave this like a 4.5, 5 out of 5 stars, just for nostalgia's sake, and the fact that it really held up for me on like a reread. Obviously, it's very simple and stuff because it is made for kids, like young readers, but it's fun. I love the cover. It's if you guys wanted to know what this one was about, it's about a boy named Greg who, when him and his friends are kind of exploring this abandoned building, they find this weird old camera, and he takes it, and whenever you take pictures of somebody with the camera or anything, like even there's like a point where he takes a picture of a car, it'll show something going wrong with that person or thing, and it kind of creates these bad situations for these people. Like, it's really weird and crazy, and even though I'm sure maybe something has been done similar to this since then, I have never heard of or read or seen or kind of consumed anything that is quite like this, and I love R.L. Stine, and I loved this. I loved watching the Goosebumps episode, and it was just so good. And the last thing that I completely read was Unbreakable by Kami Garcia. This is the first book in the Legion trilogy. This is the only issue I have with, a main issue that I have with it is that it is apparently supposed to be a trilogy, but there's only 2 books in the series, and then I've seen on Goodreads that people were complaining that apparently Kami Garcia just stopped writing it, and it's been like, 4 years or something, and she never came out with a 3rd book. So I really want to read the 2nd book because I was really invested in this, but now if I do that, I'm never going to know how it ends, and I just don't know how to feel about that. But this is about a girl. This is a YA kind of horror, paranormal, romance, supernatural thing. It's a lot of things. It's trying to be a lot of things, and it does a lot of those things successfully. It is a YA book about this girl named Kennedy who, I thought it was kind of a spoiler because it didn't happen until like a couple of chapters in, but it says it in the blurb. And it's basically her mom dies. And after her mom dies, she decides like she has to pack up her life and go stay in this like boarding school, and she's really sad and depressed about it. And then the thing is, she's spending her final night in her house, in the same house where her mom was, like, they said that she had a heart attack. And then, a ghost tries to kill her. And it's super creepy and stuff, and while this ghost is trying to kill her in, like, her house, these 2 guys, like, burst in, and they kill the ghost, and they save her, and they tell her that basically she's part of this legion of, like, the secret society of people who are meant to kill bad things. Lots of people had issues with this book that I've seen on Goodreads, and it's because this is supernatural fan fiction. The TV show Supernatural, which is a phenomenal TV show. I have been binge watching it this past October, but I love that show, and the thing is, people were mad that it was basically fan fiction, and it was way too similar to the show. But the thing is, since I love the show so much, I enjoyed reading kind of like a fan fiction of it. I used to read Supernatural fan fiction all the time, so this is just that in a book with the names changed. Because it is essentially about these 2 brothers who are very like dark and brooding, and they go around in this car hunting demons and ghosts and stuff because it is what their family does, their family business, and they travel around with like shotguns that have rock salt and journals left from their family, like their father and stuff. It's legit a carbon copy of like the essential main plot of the first few seasons of Supernatural. But I liked it. I really loved the characters. I actually liked Kennedy. I usually don't like the female leads in YA I liked both of the brothers. I don't like that they decided to throw in this, like, love triangle, and the thing is, I usually like love triangles, even though that's a very not popular opinion, but, I like them, but I think it's creepy when it's, like, a love triangle involved with siblings, because it's, like, I feel like the whole sibling aspect should come before you wanting to get with a girl, and they were just fighting, like, with each other over this chick, and I just don't know. But it was creepy. It was, like, scary. And I didn't, like, YA books aren't scary. Even horror YA books aren't scary. But this one was really good. So if you're a fan of Supernatural and it doesn't bother you, it being very similar to it, I would recommend this. If you like anything with ghosts or paranormal things or stuff like that, I loved it. I loved the entire, like, group of people, like, because it's a whole group of these, like, kid/teenagers, and there's two other ones as well, two other people that they go around with, a girl named Alara and a boy named Priest, and they're just so eccentric, and I love things with, like, a group of, like, you know, friends that are kind of misfits, and they're, like, trying to find stuff, or they're trying to do stuff and complete this goal together. I loved the ending. It was super intense, but it was very cliffhangery. And yeah, I think I gave this, like, a 4.5 stars. That's, like, if I'm being really picky. Like, in a general sense, you have to pick one. I think I would go with 5 stars. It's just, the thing is, even though this had its issues, and it was very cheesy, and I could totally see it being, like, an over-the-top cheesy CW show, I could not stop thinking about it. It was super addictive. It was well written, in my opinion, and, like, I tabbed a whole crap load of stuff, because it was good. And, yeah, that was all that I actually ended up getting to. I read, like, another 100 or 200 pages of it, but did not finish it. But I plan to, but I'll get to that in my, November TBR. And then to go real quick over the rest of the stuff that I consumed in, October, if you're interested, I watched, 6 movies. I was trying to make it all very horror or spooky movies, but there was, like, 1 or 2 that I just happened to watch that have nothing to do with the October season. The first movie I saw was The Babadook. It is a movie, it's like a indie horror movie that was on Netflix, and a lot of people talk about it, and it's about this creepy shadow man called the Babadook who kind of haunts this single mother and her child, and it's kind of one of those things where, one of those movies that makes you try to be really creeped out by a little kid, and it uses the kid a lot as, like, a creeper factor. I didn't like that you didn't get to see the Babadook until, like, an hour into the movie, and it's, like, a long movie, but it scared me. Like, it creeped me out. I made sure that I was, like, I like being creeped out, so I made sure that I was watching it when everyone was sleeping, and it was dark, and I can just fully immerse myself in it with headphones and everything, and I liked it. The first half is kind of slow, because the kid is just being a little shit the whole time, and I could see how a lot of people, they said that they tried to watch it, and then they quit halfway through, and I liked the tone of it enough to keep going, but it doesn't really pick up until, like, the second hour of the movie. But I give it, like, a 4 out of 5 stars. Or, like, a 3.5, to be more specific. Then, one of the only non-spooky movies I've seen, I had never seen this movie before, even though I always wanted to for, like, so many years, like 8 years or something. It is High School Musical 3. For those of you who don't know, I was growing up, and, like, still am, let's be honest, complete trash for Disney Channel original movies. I loved and was obsessed with the first 2 High School Musical movies. But for some reason, whenever I watched them when they were doing, like, movie marathons, or I purchased the movies myself, they were never showing the 3rd movie. And I always felt frustrated because people would talk about the whole entire trilogy, and I had never seen the 3rd one. And then they were playing it on one of those movie channels, you know, where there's no commercials and stuff, that my grandmother has, and I watched it. I was obsessed with it. I knew a majority of the songs already, because I was familiar with the movie and I wanted to know all the songs and stuff, but never seen it until then. 5 out of 5 stars. It was super incredible. And then the next one that's like a horror comedy movie that I saw was called Little Evil. It's a Netflix original movie, and it is about this, it's kind of supposed to be like a parody of The Omen. It's about this guy who gets married to this woman, and for some reason, up until the point of him marrying her, he doesn't really know her kid. He never bonded or communicated or ever really had a conversation with her son. Her son is about like 8, around that age group, and he is trying to bond with him and stuff, but the kid is really creepy and like possibly evil, possibly Satan, and it's creepy in like the fun kind of dark way. Like it's very nicely done, like the scenes and the mood and all of that, but I thought that it was very heartwarming at the same time. I actually really enjoyed that one. More so than the Babadook, but the Babadook was scarier. It was an odd balance of things, but I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. Then the next one. The next one is a movie that I'd wanted to see since I was in middle school, because when I heard about it, because my sister seen it with her friends when she was in high school, I was like, that sounds ridiculous and creepy and weird and inappropriate, and I need to see that in my life. And I would always talk to my friends and be like, we're gonna see that movie. Never happened, but I decided this month, since it was on Netflix, to watch it, and that is Teeth. For those of you who don't know, Teeth is a horror movie. It's another kind of horror comedy movie, but it takes itself seriously. About a girl who, like a teenage girl, who has teeth in her vagina. And there's lots of, I would say for that one, major trigger warnings for sexual assault and rape and stuff, because it seems like every single male she comes in contact with wants to sexually violate her, and so she has a weapon there, and it was fun. I had so much fun watching that movie. I used to, at least, a lot of them are in storage and stuff, so I haven't read one in a while. I would read a lot of filmmaker magazines and stuff, because I used to be really into the concept of wanting to be a filmmaker, and I might come back to that in the future, but unrelated. There was lots of features, like for Sundance and stuff, of the movie Teeth, and people were like, ooh, that is just such a strange movie that it works, and it does. I had a lot of fun with it. I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's weird, and it's inappropriate, and it makes you uncomfortable, especially if you're a woman watching it, but, I loved it. John Hensley from Nip Tuck and Witchblade, he's in there, and he's like an awful character, but he's very attractive and executes the character very well. And I would totally rewatch that for fun with people to see the reaction. My mom saw a scene of it while I was watching it on my phone, and she was highly disturbed by it. Anyways, I saw 2 other movies. The second to last movie I saw was Most Likely to Die. It's like a more indie horror film about these 20-something-year-olds who all get together in this like cabin in the woods, because that's always a good idea, for their high school reunion. And lots of them haven't spoken since high school and stuff, but they all used to be best friends in high school. And somebody who is wearing this like white bloodied mask and a cap and gown, like a graduation cap and gown, is going off and killing them in the order of like how they had the photos and the yearbook, like most likely to whatever. They would find a way to take that and form it into a way to kill them. And it was interesting. It has Heather Morris, who I love. She is Brittany Pierce from Glee, and it also has Perez Hilton, not to be mistaken for Paris Hilton. And they're fun. I gave it around like a 3 out of 5 stars, because the first hour was very slow and kind of boring. But then when people started getting murdered like crazy, it was like lit. And it was very plot twisty, because there was a mystery of like who is killing everyone, is it one of them and stuff, and I couldn't tell until like it was like 10 minutes or so before they revealed who it was actually going to be. Then I saw Hugo, because obviously it's not a spooky or Halloween themed movie, but they were taking it off of Netflix next month, well, this current month. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was phenomenal. It is pretty much exactly like the book, so if you like the book, you know, that would be a good movie for you. If you're into, like, those very sophisticated feel, like, you're like, this movie totally won an award kind of thing, then that's a good movie for you. It's hard to explain, because it's one of those things that you should just go into blind, and if you're into that kind of mood, it'll work, but it was, like, perfect. And it was, like, one of the best book-to-movie adaptations I'd ever seen. It has Chloe Grace Moretz when she's younger in it and stuff, so yeah, it was good. Now, shows. I'm just gonna mention all the shows that I watched because I thoroughly enjoyed every show I watched. I usually don't stay around for a whole episode or multiple episodes if I'm not enjoying it, and most of them I had already seen before. I was just continuing with. I watched The Worst Witch, finished the first season. Again, Halloween themed. It was great. I'm hoping it gets picked up because it's very underrated. I discovered a show called The Good Place. I don't know if I mentioned that last month because I might have seen like the first episode or two last month, but this one I like binge watched the rest of the first season, started watching the second season on Hulu. It is fantastic. Look up these because they're getting long, and if it sounds interesting, like the title or whatever, just look into it. I also watched The Haunting Hour. It's an anthology show for R.L. Stine's book, The Haunting Hour. I watched a handful of those episodes. Was really good. It's cheesy but fun, and they're quick. And I watched a bunch of Charmed, because Halloween, and even when it's not, I watched Charmed, like, religiously. I've watched through the entire series repeatedly, and it's my favorite TV show of all time. Or at least top 5. Then I watched The Good Doctor. I had never seen it before. The show just premiered recently. I've watched, like, the first 5 or 6 episodes, and it is really good. I love Freddie Highmore, because Norman Bates. So I'm really enjoying it. It also has the girl from Misfits in there, and I love her. Then, I realized I didn't mention it last month, even though I watched a crap ton of it last month. Dancing with the Stars. I am not crazy about reality television unless it's like those cheesy love shows. Like the Housewives or any of that crap I don't watch. But Dancing with the Stars is phenomenal. It takes me back to my show choir days. I love dancing. I love anything that has to do with dancing. And then you take celebrities and professional dancers, put them together, give them themes and costumes, and it's just ridiculous. I vote every single week, and the mirror ball picks that I have are definitely for Jordan Fisher and Frankie Muniz because they were my loves. Then obviously I've been watching American Horror Story Cult. That is fantastic. The first few episodes were kind of slow because it was literally just Sarah Paulson crying on loop. But these past few have been ridiculously good. Evan Peters' character is crazy awesome. Riverdale, I think I mentioned that I started watching it last month. I started watching the new season this month. It's good. But I haven't seen enough to know how much I like it in comparison to the first one. I randomly discovered Saturday Night Live, SNL. I've just been watching so much of that. I don't even know why. And on Hulu they have old-ass seasons, so I watched the one that has Anthony Perkins in it, like the original Norman Bates. And he's precious. He's like such a little nerd. I've been watching Lucifer since it came back, Lucifer Season 2, The Mindy Project, the last season of that. I watched the pilot to the Series of Unfortunate Events Netflix show. It is so well done. I'm excited to watch through that. I've been watching Supernatural, which it's been years since I've watched Supernatural, and I decided to pick up with the last season that I hadn't seen, which is Season 6, so I'm like 5 or 6 episodes into that. Loving it. And you might have heard that I went to Walker Stalker. I have a video on that. I watched the premiere for the new season of The Walking Dead, and obviously it was amazing. Video games, I played Animal Crossing, Tetris, and Splatoon 2. I also played the demo for Mario Odyssey, and I'm really excited to kind of get into that more, but my sister is just like loving that right now. And as for music, I've been listening to Kesha, Rob Zombie, Descendants music, High School Musical music, and anything One Direction related, like Harry Styles, One Direction, Zayn, Louis Liam, all of them. Don't judge me. And that's about it. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my face and my books. Bye!